Hey guys, so I wanted to come back and do this video for you guys because from the very beginning you guys have been there. You've heard my cries, you have heard my pain, and you've heard my triumphs throughout this journey. And I'm coming today to bring you an update on my mother. On November 16th, 2013 at 4:20 a.m. my mother passed away. And it has been the hardest 3 weeks of my entire life. I tear up when I talk about it, but at the same time, I smile because the last 2 years has just been wonderful. We've gone through so much together, and it has been the closest that I've ever felt to my mother in my entire life. So I have tears like this that come, but as far as a hard cry or I have not done, I don't know if it's going to come. I've cried, don't get me wrong, I have cried, but I keep thinking back in September when my mom had a seizure in my arms and she collapsed and she had no heartbeat, she had no pulse, and having to give her CPR to revive her back. That was so traumatic for me, and I remember that day feeling like I had no control over my body. So with her passing, I was thinking that I was going to experience something so similar to that, and I have not. It's been, like I say, 3 weeks. Yesterday made 3 weeks since she passed away. And then one of the things that is memorable about my mother's passing is that she passed away on my father's birthday. And my father is my mother's high school sweetheart. They married and they had 3 kids together. My older brother, who passed away in 2009, and my twin sister and I. So, and my dad has been amazing throughout the entire time that my mother was sick. He came one day a week and spent the entire day with my mom. He always made sure that she had what she needed, and he felt the need to be there for her. And so it was kind of bittersweet that she passed away on his birthday, but it's a day that he would never forget, and a day that we would never ever forget, because it was the end of her battle, but it was the beginning of her being at peace and resting and not having to worry about doctors and nurses and home care nurses and aides and so forth, helping her do the things that she once loved. So the void is something that I cannot explain to you guys. The pain is something that I cannot explain. And I look back on all of the beautiful memories and it makes me smile. It does. And it saddens me because I know that I won't have those opportunities again with her in this present life. So, I have been trying to find a way to make this video without crying, and I thought today was going to be it, but it's not. But the one thing that I've gotten out of this journey with my mother is that, and it's something that she said after she had her stroke, her first stroke, and she says, you never know where you're going, but you know where you've been. And she said that meaning that you just don't know. And we have these plans for our lives. We tend to plan ahead, and I'm the world's worst at planning ahead. That was the one thing when I say I have a true type A personality, I had a true type A personality, but taking care of my mother has turned me into type B, C, D, or whatever, because I don't plan anything, and I've learned to take every day for what is given to you. You can't say this is what I want to do with my life and it happens. And as you guys know, as I know firsthand, that things I wanted for my life I don't have, where I wanted to be with my career. I'm on a totally different path, and I never knew that I would be in a situation to take care of my mother, but I was, and I'm glad that God gave me that opportunity, and I'm glad that He gave me the tools and the things physically that I needed to make sure that she had a place to call home away from home. Because my mom was never ever able to go back to her house and live. When she was diagnosed 2 years ago with her breast cancer, we were thinking that her treatments will be here, and a couple of days after treatment she goes home or whatever, but she never returns to her home. So my home became her home, and where I am now filming, this is my mother's room, and I would always refer to this as my mom's room, and the girls refer to it as Grammy's room. When I come in here, they're asking me why am I in Grammy's room. I feel my most creative when I come in here. This past 2 weeks, with my doctoral studies, I was trying to get out my draft proposal, trying to do other assignments, and I just had a hard time focusing and getting them together. And once I came in here and I sat down, I put sat at the table, sat on her bed. This is my mom's bed, and I sat here and I was just getting out those assignments like you wouldn't believe. It was like, whoo. I needed that for us, Mom. Thank you. But I feel like her presence is always going to be with me. I mean, even in my sleep, I'm so used to getting up with her every 2 hours and checking on her, making sure she's going to the bathroom and helping her do so much that my body is still on that schedule. And I haven't tried to take anything to get me off that schedule, because that just makes me feel like her presence is still with me. So as crazy as that may sound, but every morning at 2 o'clock, I wake up like clockwork. And Thursday morning at 2 o'clock, I kid you not, I heard my mom call my name loud and clear, and I was on my feet and I said, I'm coming, because that's what I would always say. She would say, Terry, and I said, okay, I'm coming, you know, with my eyes closed but my feet on the floor, and I'm walking to her room to help her do whatever. And usually between 2 and 5:30 in the morning would usually be the most time that I would spend with her in the morning. So that's my time. And one of my friends told me, use that time to talk to her, talk to God, and see why it is that you are still waking up at that time. You know that's the time that you're supposed to be getting up with your mother, but maybe there's something you need to discuss. I haven't figured out what that may be, but she was like, just use the time, talk to your mom, talk to God, you know, read your Bible, and don't ask that the pain go away, but to turn that pain into something amazing. And I told you guys before that my mom's journey with breast cancer has been a platform for me and my sister. We are both in the health field. My sister is a registered nurse. My background, I am a social worker, and I'm a therapist, and I work with people who have, or individuals who have fragile healthcare needs and diagnosis. And how do we use this to better our lives and better our careers? But we are a voice for her now. We've seen what breast cancer can do. We've seen the treatments that someone who's diagnosed with breast cancer go through, and we can talk. And where before we contributed money to breast cancer, now we can be a spokesperson for breast cancer, and we can say, hey, early detection is the key. Screenings are the key. And this is what happens, and especially with African American women, that we tend to lack. We are so busy taking care of our kids and taking care of everybody else, but we lack in our own care. And that is one thing that my mom said. She was like, I was just busy doing everything else and I never got sick, so there really wasn't a need for me to go to the doctor. And that's how she felt, but that's not the case. Even when you are not sick, you still go and you get those checkups, you get those mammograms, and you get breast MRIs, you get whatever you feel like you need to make sure that you are catching something that you know that could be hereditary or something that just comes up. We know that women of all races get breast cancer, and there are some men who get breast cancer. So that is another platform for us right now. And I hate that we had to go through this journey with yes, she was. Hate that we had to go through this journey to get to this point in our lives, but it has been one of the most beautiful moments of my life, I have to tell you. Yes. I've had some precious moments with my mom that has just been amazing. Even like her last week living, and I had fed her, I had given her something to drink, and she said thank you, and then she started talking, and what she was saying I could not make out, and I said, okay mom, you're welcome, whatever. I don't know what more she was telling me, but that thank you was a confirmation for a lot of things. I always thought a lot of my personality came from my dad, and it does. But everybody with this whole journey that we've gone through has said, you are so much like your mother. And I never knew that. I never felt like I was. And then sometimes now when I look in the mirror, I can see, oh my gosh, I do look like my mother sometimes, So yeah, so it's really weird. And even like the last week I was helping my mom, and I was looking at her hands and I was looking at my hands, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, sorry for the tears and snot nose. But I was looking at her hands and I was looking at my hands, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have my mother's hands. I never knew that. Never knew I had hands like my mother. And I do know that whenever I would wear my hair pulled up in a bun or whatever, that was the reason why I wore my hair like that, because on one of the pictures where my mom and my dad got married, she had her hair like that, and I just always thought that was just a beautiful look. And so I knew that reminded me of my mother. But anyway, so I wanted to come and just give you guys this update, because you guys have been there. You guys have sent prayers. You guys have inboxed me encouraging words, and a few of you guys I have telephone numbers for, and we've texted back and forth, and we have talked since my mother's passing. And you guys have offered so much encouragement on behalf of me and my family, and it has been wonderful. And my girls are doing fine. They feel a tremendous void, especially Amber. Maddie knows what's going on, but Amber has spent every day for the last 2 years with my mom, and Amber became a caregiver. She helped my mom eat. She helped her get dressed. She, just did all those things that I would do for my mom, and she did. So, and her room is right across from my mother, so I know she is feeling a tremendous void. And so they know that Grammy is in a deep sleep, and that she's resting, and she's no longer sick. And that, God is her keeper, and he is her heavenly father. So they know all of these things, and yet they still do ask questions. Like Maddie asks, are we going to pick up Grammy? Or if she sees the hospital that my mom was going into. And my mom, I have put this out there, that my mom, thank God, did not pass away in a hospital. I think that would have been the hardest thing for me. So she did not die in a hospital. That was a blessing to me, and I think that has helped so much, because I never wanted to go visit my mother, and she was on tubes and stuff. She did spend from September until a week before she passed, she did spend days in and out, and then she had rehab as well, because she did end up having another seizure. But she did not die in the hospital, and that was the most rewarding thing, one of the most rewarding things, that I did not have to go visit her and have to know that that's how she passed away. So I wanted to show you guys her obituary, because my cousin and I worked extremely hard on this obituary. Can I show this?
No.
Let me show this. So this is my mom's obituary, and That's her picture. This is a picture that I cropped. Let me show them. You can come right here. You can help me show them. I know you want to see Grammy. This is a picture that Mom took when my sister got married to her husband.
No.
Can you show them? Just show them right there. There you go. Awesome. And then let me show you this picture right here. This is the inside of the obituary, and that's, I know, baby. That's my mom's, one of her school pictures that we were able to scan in, and it's beautiful, and it's so funny. Let me show you guys. Can I show them how much you look like Grammy?
No.
Yeah? Look. Say look. Look it. Okay, so she wants to hold on to that. So we're going to let her hold on to that because they're missing Grammy today. But anyway, so I wanted to bring you guys this video and thank you guys so much. And even though I'm putting out videos to you guys, just know that my life is not the same anymore. And again, this void is tremendous. And I realized that 2 days ago, I was thinking back when my mom lost her husband and then she lost her firstborn, which is my older brother. She was just pressing on. She kept working. She talked, and she, you know, my mom didn't gain a sense of humor. Baby, you're gonna knock this over. She didn't gain a sense of humor until, well, she had a sense of humor. I even put that in her obituary, that she had a sense of humor that only those around her could get, like, seriously. But the last 2 years she really had a sense of humor that was just unreal, and I can't remember where I was going with that statement. But I guess looking back and seeing how my mom was able to move through her grief and cope, and I guess that was her way of coping, is just staying on task. And that's what I'm trying to do. But because the last 2 years have been all about her and taking care of her and coming home and not really planning and going and doing things and so forth, that it's hard to get back on task because I'm trying to figure out what was my life like before I started taking care of her. But I see that as her strength, because all of the things that my mother went through, guys, like, she only complained twice she ever complained. One time is when, and I'm in this video because I know it's extremely long, but one time she complained is after her gamma procedure, and she just said that hurts really bad. And then about a month before she passed away, we were in here, me and the home health aide, and we were getting my mom up, and the home health aide, who has been with us for a while, and we thank them all on the obituary because they have been wonderful. She came in and she says, "Hey, Miss May, how are you doing today?" Now, my mom looked like, well, she didn't look like this, but she was alert, and she was talking, and she was telling me what she wanted to eat, and that her sisters were coming down, you know, because she was still cognitively, she had all her faculties, so she didn't lose any type of not knowing who we were, but she was just very alert. And so the home health aide said, "Hey, Miss May, how are you doing this morning?" And my mother says, she said, no, she didn't say "I'm feeling." She says, hey Miss May, how are you feeling today?" And my mom says, "Terrible." Now, mind you, she was alert. She didn't seem like she was in any discomfort or anything. She wasn't ill that morning. She wasn't sick or anything. And she says, "I feel terrible." And so I knew then that, okay, mom is not doing good, because she had never said that. And then another touching moment, and I'm going to end this video, I promise. She said, my sister and I were getting her ready for bed, and you know, my mom had a couple of tears coming out, but she wasn't crying. Like, she never cried. The only time she like cried is when she saw my baby brother walk in, and she would just like, she hadn't seen him in a while, and like in a week or two, and she would just start crying. Like, even her mouth, you knew she was crying. But we were getting her ready for bed, and my sister was on one side and I was on the other side. We like pulled her up and getting her all comfortable, and all of her 20,000 pillows that she kept around her. And she says, I hope you girls never have to go through anything like this. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know. So those were the times I knew that my mom was just really not feeling well and uncomfortable. But she has the strength of a soldier times 20. Like, she never complained or put it out there. And I think that was just her way of making sure that we wasn't taking what she was going through hard, and that we can manage and we can cope afterwards. Now, my twin sister is very emotional, and I have to find ways to pull her up. And the reason I have to do that is because we are twins, and I feel a lot of my sister's emotions. So when she is feeling down and out, I feel down and out, and it's kind of hard because it's like I'm experiencing emotions times 2. And so I'm having to pull her up and, you know, make sure that she is, you know, okay. And we don't really talk a lot about, like this morning, she was like, you know, she dreamed that my mom was telling her, you know, make sure she calls her, because that's what she would say when she would leave from over here, is make sure you call me when you make it home, or call me before you go to bed, or whatever. So we're all experiencing something different, but the one thing we take from this is to be strong and know that today is what we have and tomorrow is not promised. And the memories that we have of her, that we take those and we turn them into something beautiful, and we talk about them. And one thing as a therapist is that and I'm really bad about this too, is because when I'm going through things, I tend to want to be by myself and not talk it out with other people. But I can sit, like, I make videos, like I have a video diary, stuff that you guys don't even see. I have a video diary, or I voice record things. I talk things out and I get it out. I write them down. I email myself. And one day I'm going to compile all of this, and I'm going to be a famous author. But I put it out there. I don't hold it in. And so one thing that we have to do is to continue to keep my mom memory of her life alive, by talking. Like when the girls ask questions about what's going on with Grammy and where she is, and don't brush it off. Like, we are just so open and we talk about it, and that's the most important thing. And just sticking close to God and just relying on Him and continuing to pray, because we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring us, but we do know where we've been, and we want to make sure that everything that we do is pleasing to Him, and that at the end of our journey, that we have an amazing legacy to leave, not just to our children, our family, but we are a testimony for other people. And I think that my mother's life has been a testimony of her faith, which I knew my mother was very close to God, but being with her for the last 2 years, I know that her faith was just, it was so realistic, and it was unwavering. Like, she did not steer, she believed, she had faith, and she prayed. And I think that through that, God comforted her and not letting her suffer in ways that some people have suffered with cancer. So I'm gonna leave you guys with that, because I can keep going on. But thank you guys for your encouragement. Continue to pray for our family, because like I said, this is not easy at all. Every day getting up is a challenge, but continue to pray for me and my family, and I will continue to bring you guys the best that I have. And in moments where I feel like I'm struggling with certain things, continue to send those encouraging words. 2013 has been one of the worst years of my life. This is probably the worst times of my life. But again, the last 2 years have been extremely rewarding, because God gave me my mother at a time that I needed her the most. So I will see you guys later. Bye. Can you say bye? No. No? Nope. And show them the obituary? No?